Okay, we're continuing with the Gospel of Mark. We're on chapter 4. We're going to do verses 21 to 41. So here we go. The lesson of the lamp. Jesus said unto them, Does anyone bring in a lamp and put it under a basket or a bed? Does he not set it out on a stand? For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, nothing concealed that will not be brought into the light. And yeah, it's kind of like the idea of Christianity and the Christian message, the good news. It's like a city on a hill. It's let the light shine. Okay. If anyone has ears to hear, let him hear. He went on to say, Pay attention to what you hear. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you, and even more will be added to you. For whoever has will be given more. That's a big quote there. Whoever has will be given more. And what I think that means is, the more you learn about the gospel and religion and Christianity, the more you're going to be able to learn, the more you're going to want to learn, and the more you're going to advance. But whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. So people not interested in learning, it's a use it or lose it thing. If you don't improve knowledge and maintain it, it decays and decreases. So I think that's what they're saying there, that essentially learn and keep trying to learn more, and you'll grow and grow and grow, versus the person who doesn't will just deteriorate and just be more and more mediocre and incompetent. Okay, the seed growing secretly. Jesus also said, The kingdom of God is like a man who scatters seed on the ground. Night and day he sleeps and wakes, and the seed sprouts and grows, though he knows not how. All by itself the earth produces a crop. First the stalk, then the head, then the grain ripens within. And as soon as the grain is ripe, he swings a sickle because the harvest has come. It's a little bit like the parable of the sower we talked about before. Okay, the parable of the mustard seed. Then he asked, To what can we compare the kingdom of God? With what parable shall we present it? It is like a mustard seed, which is the smallest of seeds sown upon the earth. But after it is planted, it grows to be the largest of all garden plants, and puts forth great branches, so that the birds of the air nest in its shade. Okay, and one of the ways I would see that is, people try to, like in the modern world, sort of make fun of Christianity and criticize it or act like it's some sort of joke and you don't need it. But the reality is, most of the highest achieving people who did the best, most beautiful things, they were inspired by Christianity. Isaac Newton, the smartest guy who ever lived, foundations of physics, gravity, optics. He all said, every scientific discovery I made is an answer to a prayer. Bach, the greatest composer who ever lived, he said, every song I compose is to the glory of God. Michelangelo, the greatest artist who ever lived, he said, everything I do is out of love of God. I put all my hope in him. I believe I was designated by God to create this art. So, same thing, Johannes Kepler, like probably one of, if not the greatest astronomer who ever lived, he says the same thing. I'm just seeing God's thoughts after him. And I believe that I initially was going to be a theologian, but to be an astronomer and discover God's thoughts, I believe, is as pleasing to him as anything else. So what I'm trying to say is, inspired by a sense of God, it helps you to perform. I knew when I was studying biochemistry, your brain remembers what you care about. And I said to myself, biochemistry is the language of God that he uses to write the book of life. In order to be a great scientist or doctor, I have to learn it well. Okay, I studied it with that type of attitude. I got the highest grade in my class, one of the highest scores in the whole United States on my boards for that biochemistry, if not the highest. So anyways, that works, and it's enjoyable. It makes everything more enjoyable. It's a good way to go. Okay, with many such parables Jesus spoke to them. He did not say anything without a parable, but privately explained everything to his own disciples. And we talked about in the last discussion session on the Gospel according to Mark, the idea of esoteric versus exoteric. So esoteric is subtle speech with jargon that only the insiders can understand, like these parables, versus exoteric speech would be something anybody in the public could understand. Jesus calms the storm. When the evening came, he said to his disciples, Let us cross over to the other side of the Sea of Galilee. And after they had dismissed the crowd, they took Jesus with them, and since he was already in the boat, and there were other boats with him. Soon a violent windstorm came up, and the waves were breaking over the boat, so that it was being swamped. But Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. So they woke him and said, Teacher, don't you care that we are perishing? Then Jesus got up and rebuked the wind and the sea. Silence, he commanded, be still. And the wind died down, and it was perfectly calm. Why are you so afraid, he asked. Do you not have faith? Overwhelmed with fear, they asked one another, Who is this that even the wind and the sea obey him?